Hello, and thanks for joining us on episode 4 of 21 for 21 lessons about sport media in the 21st century. Our first three episodes combined have now got 250 listens, over 250 listens, in fact, across Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube. We're all over the place, Stuart. We are absolutely everywhere. So we just want to start off this episode by saying thank you very much if you're one of those 250, and if you're part of the next 250 and you're just new to our little podcast. My name's Jamie Coles and I'm a sport journalist.
And my name's Stuart Levy and I'm a sports marketer. We are both Brits living abroad, me in Dusseldorf, Jamie in Barcelona.
This week we're going to be taking a bit of a dive into the world of cryptocurrencies, fan tokens and NFTs, and we'll get into that down the line of why that's relevant to sport. This is possibly the first two-part episode that we've done, Stuart.
Yeah, so we've had some really nice, really in-depth conversations this week. So I saw through my LinkedIn network a post about VfL Wolfsburg's women's team launching their own NFTs. And the two of us, we'd kind of been talking a bit about this topic anyway, and then we researched it more. And I think beforehand, I think it's safe to say our knowledge of NFTs and crypto was not so high.
Yeah, no, I knew very little. I'd seen obviously various sports teams and sports putting out these kind of fan tokens and NFTs, and I'm not a big collector of things anyway. So the way it was pitched was like NFTs, like these digital collections, and it's like, what?
Yeah, I mean,
why? Like I didn't,
Yeah, it was strange. Like I can see, beforehand, you're right. I was seeing again. We saw the VfL Wolfsburg story. They're launching their NFTs again.
Yeah, the first women's football team in the world to launch an NFT. So
yeah, so again,
that piqued our interest.
I mean, I assumed NFTs were expensive. So the first NFT I ever heard of was the first ever tweet being sold as an NFT for $2 million. So I just didn't know who would spend $2 million on a VfL Wolfsburg NFT. You could probably buy a big part of VfL Wolfsburg's women's team for $2 million. But as we got involved into it and chats with our interviews, I can now see, I can understand what an NFT is and why I might buy one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think me too. I went from being very kind of a skeptic into being almost a convert, whether it was talking about having this kind of trading card almost sort of system, or just in investing and being part of the sports that I'm passionate about. So we'll get into that, and it's probably worth kicking off from there. I think is a good way of segging in. We began by speaking with Joe Downie, who is the Chief Communications Officer, the head of communications and public relations at NiceHash. And well, we'll get into it and we'll let him himself explain to you who he is and what it is that NiceHash do.
Yes, I'm the head of marketing and PR at NiceHash. Been interested in cryptocurrency for a long time. Been working in different fields before in IT. And got into cryptocurrency. It's just really fascinating about the different use cases for blockchain technology. I find it's really quite exciting. It's quite interesting compared to what the beginning of the internet was. It's kind of this kind of atmosphere in the industry.
Could you just talk to us a little bit about NiceHash? This is from what I've seen on your website, kind of quite a new crypto exchange. Could you talk a little bit about where you guys are and where you're heading?
Yeah, absolutely. So NiceHash is actually been around since 2014, and we're a hash power broker. So it's quite a unique position in the crypto market, if you like, in the sense that we buy and sell computing power for mining. So people can, for example, a user on one side perhaps has a gaming PC and they have a good graphics card. They can connect up to NiceHash and then sell their computing power, which then gets forwarded on to the buyers of hash power, who will then connect to their mining pool and they will mine a cryptocurrency using that computer power. So we're basically an open exchange where we connect the buyers and sellers for mining cryptocurrencies. And then we also have an exchange so that the miners, they all get paid in Bitcoin, regardless of whichever coin they're mining. And from this, they can then exchange to other currencies if they want, like Ethereum or chilies or anything like this.
I don't know about
So
Stuart and his knowledge. I'm going to have to roll back a little bit and just kind of what we talk about mining, and you say that people can kind of you're connecting the buyers and the miners to use their computer power. What does that involve? What is kind of mining a cryptocurrency, just for the real basic side of things?
Yeah, so mining a cryptocurrency, and I'll just start from the beginning. So
Yeah,
cryptocurrency is generally a decentralized form of currency, which is on a digital ledger or a blockchain. So that means it's, in general, they're not controlled by any one entity. They're simply validated by the miners around the world who are connecting up their computer power. And what they're doing by actually mining is they're solving very complex mathematical problems, if you like. It's called hashing. So they're solving the hashes in order to get reward for the block. So when someone sends cryptocurrency from one person to another, this is included in a block, and then that block gets verified by the miners to prove its authenticity, that it's the true transaction. So there can be no double spending or cheating or anything like this, or fraud. So the miners are really there to protect the network, to verify the network, and to validate the transactions. So essentially replacing what a bank or a Visa would do in this sense, if you compare it to a traditional model.
So that's all really interesting. Certainly sort of a side of cryptocurrency I had no idea of. I'd heard much more about the investment side of it, buying and selling Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever it is. What's the kind of, can you talk a little bit now about the kind of current state of things on that side of it in terms of for the sort of investors and traders?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, the crypto industry, as we know, most people have heard of Bitcoin and Ethereum. I think they're the two most well-known or the most talked about in the mainstream media.
Yeah.
And Bitcoin is kind of really the first major cryptocurrency. There was a few experiments before it, but Bitcoin was the first one that was really successful and took off. And to date, it's still the most successful one, despite all the other cryptocurrencies like Ethereum trying to solve other issues. It's still the biggest one and the most popular one. But you've got Ethereum tried to basically build on what Bitcoin started with by adding a smart contract functionality to it. And many other projects have now followed suit and are doing the same thing. They're trying to solve the flaws which Bitcoin has, which is essentially speed and scalability, are two of the big ones, because it can only process so many transactions per block. So if you're comparing it to traditional Visa, for example, it's much slower per transaction as you're sending, and you cannot build so many things upon it. Whereas with Ethereum, you can build into it smart contracts, so you can put a contract up there which is on the blockchain, and anything that's on the blockchain is immutable, so it cannot be changed. So it's a very good way to do some kind of loan contract, or even to transfer an asset, like to sell a deed for a house, for example. If it's on the blockchain, it's concrete. It's like it cannot be modified. So there are many ways that you can build upon it, and that's what we're seeing at the moment. Is more projects trying to solve the issues, if you like, of doing more things with the technology. So we have currencies which work. Then we have places which are trying to do smart contracts, places which are more focused on asset transfer. And for example, the sport tokens is another, NFTs is another feature of this, but that kind of comes under asset transfer. So what we're really seeing is people trying to solve the scalability and the speed. This is the main thing people are working on at the moment, I would say.
So that would be the biggest issue for those working and trading in cryptocurrency. It's scaling up, would you say, or is it choosing which projects suit joining a blockchain and which should more traditional payment methods should be used? Would you say they're the top two issues, or?
Yeah. So from an investing point of view, it's more about there's a lot of things happening in crypto. There's a lot of projects which boom for a very short time and then fail. There's a lot of ups and downs with it. It's very, very volatile. And we see that even with Bitcoin, its price goes up and down, and it's influenced by many factors. But when you're looking at investing, you're looking at what the project is doing and what's its long-term potential. If you're looking at it from an investment point of view, which a lot of people right now are kind of speculating and almost betting on which project is going to be the one that makes it, that solves the thing and becomes the biggest one. So there's a lot of room for that.
Yes, I guess that's why it's come into our radar for our purpose of our podcast, was with the issues of socios and their fan tokens, how they are the shirt sponsors, so the on jersey sponsors of Valencia and Inter Milan, and they have a partnership with a lot of other teams as well. So from what you've summarized so far, the purpose of socios, it is a regular cryptocurrency with the same issues and benefits as you've been describing, but targeted at. So my main question is: so there's the two shirt sponsors. There's an Inter Milan socio fan token and a Valencia one. Are they two different cryptocurrencies, or are they the same socio cryptocurrency, just with different brand names for the different teams? Is this as far as you're aware, or as far as you would expect this to be?
Yeah, so socios is the main platform and the main currency, if you like. And the tokens are basically built on top of this. So you have, then you can have many different tokens with different brands or names on top of this. So basically anyone can go onto the socios network and build upon it their own token. So for example, Manchester City or Valencia or any club like this, they can create their own token onto this. Will have its unique properties, but it's all built on the same project, same platform.
Okay, so is it a fan token? Is that the same thing as a cryptocurrency? So is Manchester City fan token a cryptocurrency, or just based on the socio existing platform?
Yeah, so it's a cryptocurrency in that sense.
It's a currency, okay.
And that can be traded on exchanges. So if you go to some of the bigger cryptocurrency exchanges, you can see like Barcelona token, Valencia token, and they can all be traded separately because they fluctuate in value based on different things, but based on, for example, what's happening at the club. A good example of this was with when Messi just moved to PSG. We saw the fan token for PSG skyrocket based on the news that Messi was coming. So external factors like this
paid in a fan token as well. Actually, I think as part of his signing on fee. I don't know what percentage, but whether it was just a symbolic one or whether it was a significant amount, but he did get some fan tokens as part of his signing on fee.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think they haven't released the exact percentage, but I think it was quite a lot.
I've seen quoted in the media a large amount of the PSG fan token, which is on the socios platform. Which so it's curious to see how they fluctuate. Also on the results of matches, we saw towards the end of the Champions League last season, the Manchester City one kind of took a bit of a spike against some of the other clubs because they were favourites to win the Champions League. So that's quite interesting. So we've and it was a good question from Stuart, because like for the uninitiated like myself, it's sort of like, what's a cryptocurrency or what's a fan token? And so I think we've kind of seen that they're very similar, right? And like you said, they're built on the same kind of platform. So then the next step along from that, I think, is what's an NFT? Because this has kind of been a big keyword, a big buzzword in the media lately. And again, I'm kind of like, I've just sort of managed to wrap my head around like how Bitcoin and Ethereum work more or less. And now I've got like fan tokens and NFTs to deal with. So could you sort of explain to us the kind of difference there again?
Yeah, so with a fan token, it's like, so it's a cryptocurrency. So it's fungible in the sense that one has the same value as the other. So we can compare this to a euro or a British pound, if you like. So I give you £1 and you get one back. The value is the same. So they're fungible. They're interchangeable. Whereas with an NFT, it's a non-fungible token. So these are not fungible. So everyone is unique and has a different value. So in this sense, it's closer to art, and that's why art has become so popular with NFTs, is because it follows very much the same kind of collector's mindset. in the sense that there's only one Mona Lisa. There might be many copies of it, but the original, there is only one, and it's unique. So it would be an NFT, if you like. It's a non-fungible item, a non-fungible token. So that's really the main difference between fungible and non-fungible. And NFTs have become huge in the last year, partly because of this collector mindset. And it's basically an extension, a digital extension of the traditional collectors field or industry, if you like, in the sense that it's just an evolution of that. It's kind of crazy how we see, pictures, a JPEG or a picture sold for millions of dollars on the internet. So it's just a picture that you can still copy. You can copy the picture itself and download it and look at it. But it's the same if you compare this to an art.
We also spoke this week to Philipp Harrold, who is the Chief Marketing Officer of FanZone, who are a marketplace for NFTs. And Philipp will, of course, explain that as we speak.
So my name is Philipp Harrold. I've been in the sports business industry for about 10 years now. I have a classic background in media rights trading, sponsorship agencies, and I've been in sports tech for about 5 years now. I've been working with Connexon before, a real-time tracking company. That's also very interesting. And I've been with FanZone for pretty much half of the company's life cycle, so half a year now, and FanZone is about a year old. And I oversee all the commercials there. So it is my job to find the right business model, to acquire partners, to look into the partnership space of NFTs, what the right strategy is. And that's what I do every day. I speak to a lot of different rights holders from a lot of different sports across the world. And it's very interesting to see how far ahead some of them are, and how steady and still some others are.
Okay, great. So when you're sort of speaking to these rights holders, so FanZone, it's you actually produce the NFTs, or you just market them?
Exactly. We're building a community at the moment, so we're a community-driven platform where we believe that that's the key to success when it comes to the NFT game in general. Building the community in regard to activity, marketplace, but also chatting, games, fantasy sports challenges. That's what we're looking for. We do not believe in the single drop situation so much that's happening around the world, where single athletes or companies try to drop NFTs for one specific purpose, and then that's it. We try to engage the fans, to give NFTs a specific utility. So yes, we mint the NFTs. We are on the Luxo blockchain, which is one of the youngest blockchain there is out there. High efficient, energy efficient, super fast, and it's been great in terms of looking at where the space is going, because we're helping Luxo and Luxo is helping us, and we see amazing potential on this side of the business.
I'm going to take this opportunity then, because we spoke to Joe from NiceHash, who talked about some of the issues with the various blockchains, sort of gas fees and the time it can take to process the hashes and stuff. What is it about Luxo then that sets that blockchain apart from, as someone that doesn't really know a lot about blockchains technology either, I'm quite curious to see kind of like the differences in one blockchain from another.
Sure. So when you look at, so I'm not a techie myself, right? So I cannot write code, but I've understood enough, I think, to maybe bridge the knowledge gap here. When you look at different blockchains and different coins, I think that's the easiest way to explain it. When you look at the blockchain of Bitcoin, for example, the Bitcoin blockchain, we can say that this is pretty much the oldest blockchain there is out there, right? That was the very first one. So let's compare it with the diesel engine from the 1950s, right? That's where it comes from. Super inefficient when it comes to energy consumption. It's super old. It takes a lot of time to mint. It takes a lot of time to prove who owns what, who owns which coin, and that's why this is in that section, right? That's the older one. So the newer versions of blockchains have a different approach. So there's proof of work and proof of stake blockchains. That's probably the biggest difference, and that results in two things that are connected. And one is, how long does it take to mint? How long does it take to switch wallets, for example. Gas fees are a big thing that everyone is talking about, obviously. And ultimately, and I think we're not talking enough about this at the moment, but it will happen soon, is with all these servers that are connected, with all the time that it takes to mint, with all this time it takes to transfer one token to another wallet, the energy consumption that is included in this is crazy high, specifically for the older blockchains like the Bitcoin blockchain or the old Ethereum blockchain. Obviously, Ethereum is working towards the Ethereum 2.0 version, which is great. And Luxo, one of the founders or architects, what they're called, is Fabian Vogelsteller, and he's one of the Ethereum co-founders, or one of the standard. He created the ERC20 standard token standard. So he's taking all his knowledge from the Ethereum blockchain and is now converting it into a new blockchain, more efficient, quicker, and a lot more energy saving.
And so I guess that kind of technology in terms of energy saving and speed lends itself well to NFTs.
Brilliant,
because
yeah.
they're traded so frequently, or perhaps, I don't know how it works sort of in a transfer window, but if a player moves teams, you need to mint a new NFT to match that new profile of the player. And so speed is of the essence quite often for this technology for you guys.
Absolutely. When we look at it from the user perspective and look at it from usability, then when I trade a player, then obviously I want that NFT card to directly leave my wallet and be confirmed actually in real time, right? That's what we want.
Sure.
However, older blockchains are just not capable of it. Not because they are bad, just because they're a little older, right? That the purpose of what it was written for originally, what it was created for, has a different purpose. But now that's obviously changing. And what we believe in is that it will go in that direction, that different blockchains will survive for different purposes. That's what it's about, right? Sorry, yeah.
I want to go for that. Want to go?
I just want to say that when we look at it from a decentralization perspective, the more decentral a blockchain is, the safer it is, right? This is like really in a nutshell and really like basic 101, the way I understand it, right? Decentralization is a big thing. So the more decentral it is, the more power it takes to prove something. The less decentral it is, the easier it is the quicker it goes, but also obviously it's not as safe. So we need to find the middle here. The crazy thing is, we're talking about a database approach. And let's be honest, how boring are databases, right? So ultimately, for the user, for fans, for people out there, we're discussing a back-end discussion where the people only see a front end, right? So this is what I love about this technology, is that actually it's not in the real focus of it, and at the same time, it is everything. And I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So just so from, you said the older blockchains. So with Bitcoin, when you say they're not always as fast, does that mean that they're taking 2 minutes instead of real time? So or are we talking hours or days to transfer the ownership?
Yeah, sometimes it can take. When I started buying my first NFTs about 9 to 10 months ago, sometimes it takes a day, 24 hours to actually have the NFT actually transferred in your wallet. So what many marketplaces or what many applications or websites do is they give you, obviously there's still a way of that. OpenSea, for example, it's still hosted on a server, right? It's only the backend that's connected to the blockchain. Same like fanzone.io. There's also a part of it that's saved on one server. So as a user, you get the impression that you've got it already. So you see it, but it's still connected to obviously to the blockchain, where then that takes about 24 hours sometimes. Yeah.
By decentralized, you mean just on various servers and gaming PCs, miners throughout the world, is what you mean by decentralized? Exactly.
Yeah. So it could be a big server, but it could also be a little Raspberry Pi. It could be anything. Yeah. But please keep in mind, I'm a business guy. right? I see this from a business perspective. I'm sure that I've said 10 wrong things now that where real tech people that are able to code will tell me that's absolutely wrong what I just said. This is the way how I see it from a business perspective. This is what I've understood what is amazing. So that's, you know, my job and my passion is to take new technology and to translate it into the old world, right? To show the old marketing world, the old sports business world of what is it that we can do now. When you look at the potential, yes, like we're giving out current squads, right? We're giving out current teams of I don't know, the 21-22 season. Let's look at all of the amazing pictures, all of the amazing video footage that we have from the last 60, 70, 80 years from all the different sports. And suddenly we can create a value because we can make it unique. And that's new revenue.
So we spoke with Motogp earlier, and they have their own NFT trading cards. So you mean by the unique? So a trading card might be Valentino Rossi's helmet. So can you, if I'm not sure, can you kind of explain, Joe, how that's unique? So how does the technology work, which means nobody else can own this Valentino Rossi helmet?
Yeah, so the way it works is that on the blockchain, everything is time-stamped. So there's no denying who has the first one who has it. It's like there and cannot be changed. So if you the NFT basically transfers the ownership. So for example, the author of it would be the Motogp, and they then transfer the ownership of that unique item, so his Valentino Rossi's helmet, to the person who buys it, and that ownership is then set in stone. If you like, it's nobody can deny that person then owns it. And this is why NFTs have become very popular for sports teams and things like this in general.
So is it almost
because then if you sell it on, that ownership then gets passed on the blockchain to the next person. So if you sell it to someone else, so you're basically just buying the ownership.
Okay, so if I've bought this Motogp trading card and I sell it to Jamie, how do I use something like NiceHash to register the change in NFT ownership, or is that how does that specifically work?
Yeah, for NFTs, it's you would need to go to an NFT marketplace.
Okay.
And this would depend where the NFT had been created. So different marketplaces are on different platforms. Ethereum is the biggest one at the moment.
Okay.
They have OpenSea, it's the most famous marketplace. So it's something like you can think of it something like eBay, if you like, where you go and you find what you want to buy.
Okay.
And you can buy it there, and you can also, a lot of them are on auction as well. So they're like auctioned items.
So these things, as they're unique one-offs, they can fluctuate in value as well. Am I right in thinking that? Sort of from a perspective as someone that might buy, okay, it's cool to say I own the digital rights to Valentino Rossi's helmet or whatever it may be. And I think part of the problem is this idea of ownership. But I don't know, something happens and Valentino Rossi helmet becomes more valuable than Marc Marquez helmet, for example. I could then sort of cash that in and take a profit on that.
Exactly. That's where NFTs are really popular and taking off a lot, because people realize they can be influenced by events. So for a sports team is a perfect example of this. If let's say Man City or whatever wins the Champions League, if there was some unique NFT from that team, it would skyrocket in value because of the external event to the team, to the NFT. So, and you could say the same for the motorbike helmets. If he wins all of the races, it's very likely that that token will rise in value.
But for the purpose of, again, to use the Motogp example, so how does is this almost a license to print money for Motogp? So they currently have a 2021 range of NFTs on their website. So in 2022 season, did they just say, yeah, we now have 2022 versions of Valentino Rossi's helmet or Marc Marquez's bike? What actual work what are the production costs for Motogp in creating these NFTs?
Yeah, so when you produce an NFT, you pay a certain cost to mint, it's called. So it's like, you can think of it as like printing a currency. Okay. So you pay a certain fee to mint it. And Ethereum has some issues with this because they have very high gas fees, they're called. It's basically transaction fees. And they can get very, very high because there's so much congestion on the network. So that's one of the issues they have to deal with. And this kind of raises the value because you're then paying extra for the transaction fee as well as the item that you're buying. So that can sometimes get really ridiculous. So that's one of the downsides to the NFTs. But from the team's perspective, or the Motogp who is creating this, they could create a new series every year, and then in 10 years' time, the first year series will probably be a lot more valuable than the most recent one, for example.
So we've seen obviously what you said. You're currently working with the DFB and other clubs in Germany. So you mean that if you were to release a pack of NFTs from, I don't know, the 1954 World Cup winning team, would that almost be a great money spinner for you guys, because you could just create different collectibles from that squad and just upload them to your platform and people can buy and trade? Is that what you mean from a practical level of how that will work?
That's how it would work. Yeah, but
Mhm.
obviously you need the approval by the original rights holder, right? You need the approval by then probably FIFA. You probably need to find some sort of agreement with German Football Federation, and also with the players, right? They also have the right to their own picture. So yeah, but that's how it works. And then, what I love about the space at the moment is that everyone is going in a specific direction, right? We're talking about fantasy gaming, we're talking about collecting, we're talking about gamified collectibles, we're talking about video NFTs, photo NFTs. There are so many amazing artworks of NFTs. We'll see so many different utilities, right? Maybe the two of you and maybe us, maybe the three of us will create an ultimate Expedia-like platform where all of the NFTs of all of the basketball teams or all of the football teams will have a utility. And then that comes together again. And we're only at the beginning, right? This is just getting started. The usage and the utility of NFTs are just getting started right now. And yes, there's a lot of money thrown around. I mean, we've seen that in the last 2 weeks. There's Fanatics, So Rare, and Dapper Labs, who've, I think, collectively now got a valuation of I think like 20 billion. Sorry, 20 billion. So the three companies now valued at 20 billion. Hello, what's happening here? But that's brilliant. I love it. It's a tech space that everyone can trust in because it's so transparent.
Do you think we're going to see a bit of a, I'm a creator, I make videos of sports. Do you think we're going to see a little bit of another creator boom? We saw it kind of in YouTube a few years ago. Are we going to see it again now because people want to create stuff that can be minted into an NFT and monetized in that way?
Yes, I believe we're gonna see a new group of people that are valued for their NFT creation potential, that are valued for their mindset, that are valued for their talent in NFT creation, that have understood what's possible with NFTs, because it's not only digitizing a picture, right? That's not what an NFT is about. And this is what I love about the blockchain again, is it gives the original creator a value. I remember 20 years ago when I started downloading music legally, of course.
Yeah.
I would download an MP3 file and I would be able to send it to you, Stuart, and to you, Jamie, and then we would all have the MP3 file. That is really, shitty for the original creator, because he or she does not see any money in this. So now the blockchain gives power back to this, because it solves a problem that we've created with the World Wide Web, that everything is shareable, everything is dividable, and we can just share it. I'm not saying that this will go away. I'm saying it gives another value again to the original creator, and we can limit the amount of things that are out there. And I think that is good and natural and healthy to content creators.
The theme, Joe, is of our podcast. It's 21 lessons for sport and media. So, and you've been really good to share a lot of insights with us. But if you can say where this is going, could you summarize in a couple of sentences for our lesson for this chat, what us as fans or as working in the industry can learn from these new technologies?
Yeah, I think we see that the blockchain technology is solid. It's something it's here to stay, and it's only going to grow. It's only going to continue to be involved in more aspects of life, and sports is one of the areas that it's really we see it really breaking into very fast and being adopted very quickly. So I think the takeaway is that the fan tokens are really cool way to use blockchain technology, and we're only going to see more of it from now on, I think.
But yeah, I don't know about you, Jamie. This has been two really interesting discussions this week. I don't know if you guys are listening or watching on YouTube, but if you see our faces on the YouTube version, we were in amazement at times at some of the insights we were getting from Philipp and Joe.
Yeah, and I hope it's been just as insightful for you guys listening. Stay tuned, because we are going to bring a part 2 of this podcast. We're going to get into a bit more depth about NFTs and how they're used. And we've got some great examples from Philipp. We're also going to be bringing a case about how Motogp who've launched their fan tokens and NFTs this year. And we'll get into a bit more depth about that and what that means for the sport and for the fans, because I think that's the next step, Stuart, on this. You know, we kind of know a bit now about how the blockchain not works, but what's going on and what the kind of landscape of cryptos and NFTs and fan tokens is. And so now I kind of want to see how that really relates to sport, both for the sports and the athletes and as the fans.
Yeah, I mean, as we said at the start, how has these NFTs gone from people buying the first ever tweet to something you can buy every week almost as part of your routine, as part of your fandom of a certain sporting property? What does that mean for the everyday fan? And why might someone buy an NFT, and what can you do with them?
Absolutely. So thank you very much to Joe and to Philipp for contributing to this podcast. Thanks for you guys for listening.
Yeah, and we'll see you next week for part 2. Thanks very much, guys.